Hello, first tonight, the end of the road for the East of England Development Agency.
The fate of Ida was sealed at a cabinet meeting this morning. Since being set up by Labour more than 10 years ago, the agency has injected more than £1 billion into the region's economy, supported thousands of businesses and backed developments in science and technology. But the government says it simply isn't value for money.
At its base at Hauxton, near Cambridge, this is an agency proud of its achievements over the past decade. It believes it's delivered big time on its mission to improve the region's economy. It invested almost £32 million in the regeneration of Ipswich waterfront, over £14 million on a new University of Essex campus at Southend. Over £8 million has gone to provide a deep-water outer harbour for Great Yarmouth. And it's played a key role in plans for a multi-million-pound bioscience campus at Stevenage. Ida claims to have created or safeguarded 44,000 jobs, but today the outlook for its 245 staff is uncertain.
RDAs have done a good job for the regions, for the most part. For every pound spent on them, an independent evaluation last year said that regional economies had benefited to the tune of £4.50. So these are organisations that are giving us bang for our buck.
Critics point to the huge cost of running Ida. According to the latest accounts, staff costs of over £25 million a year.
If you take the running costs of Ida over the last 10 years or so since they were created, that's enough to dual the A11. So we could have dualled the A11 with the money that instead we spent on the administration costs of Ida.
The new government sees Ida and the other development agencies as bloated, cumbersome and, for all of us, too expensive. They will be axed as part of what's being called a bonfire of the quangos, though just when they'll go is not yet clear. The government's putting aside a regional structure. It believes in future the answer has to be local. Kim Riley, BBC Look East, Norwich.
Well, Professor Will Pope is the chairman of Ida. He joins us live now from his HQ in Cambridgeshire. We heard there the word bloated and cumbersome. I mean, isn't the truth that Ida just ate too much money?
We don't see it that way, Susie. The real issue is the return on investment that we get. And what we know is that we get a return of 4.75 times back for the economy, for the Chancellor actually, and into the Exchequer for every pound that we invest. So it's the return on investment that we should be looking at.
But it's very difficult, isn't it, to argue against some of the figures we heard in that report. In 1 year, £25 million spent on staff salaries alone, £661,000 on board members, £50,000 in bonuses in a year when you were supposed to be cutting back. I mean, for ordinary people to hear those figures, they think, really, is that necessary?
Well, without doubt, investment doesn't manage itself. And for sure, there is an overhead in managing any suite of investments. But the key, I go back to, the key is the return on investment. And actually, when you're looking for value for money, what we should really be looking at is the over 40,000 jobs that we've created in the east of England over the last 10 years. And that's the real legacy. And it's businesses and indeed some local authorities themselves who are recognising the skills that Ida has brought over the last 10 years, and it's really added value to the local economy. So we've created new jobs, new employment, trained hundreds of thousands of people, and we support 100,000 businesses a year actually benefit from our engagement in terms of direct support.
The new government wants to move away, though, from the kind of regional model to a much more local model with local enterprise. Doesn't that make sense?
It's absolutely right that support should be targeted to the requirements of the local area, and that is without doubt the case. What we've got to make sure we do as we go forward in the transition to these new models is actually have an orderly transfer, but that also we can carry on during the transfer time, because as you said in your introductory piece, the end point is as yet unclear. we've got to continue to support the businesses in the east of England. And if I may say so, what's really important is that we secure money and investment monies for our businesses.
Briefly, did you see the writing on the wall? Because I have here a letter that was written by your chief executive yesterday, arrived today, saying that Eda was facing a budget reduction of £25 million a year, but clearly thought that Eda was still going to be in existence.
Well, this is very much a moving feast, of course, but yet, of course, we have our we understand the direction of travel that we're in, and certainly only yesterday we were advising stakeholders, our partners, the people we work with, that we will this year that we're now in have £25 million less to invest in our businesses. And actually, the real shame for that is that the Exchequer will suffer to the extent that we get a return on that investment. So we're one of only 3 profitable regions in the country,
Professor,
and it's a real shame that we don't, if we can't secure the investment to bring those tax revenues in.
Professor Pope, thank you very much.
GPs working near a controversial chemical site will meet NHS bosses tomorrow to talk about the health concerns of their patients. Many people are worried about chemicals from the old Bayer factory in the village of Hauxton in Cambridgeshire. The doctors have been keeping special records of people who complain about problems with their breathing.
Over 2 weeks at 2 surgeries, watery eyes, sore throats, burning in the nose. Some of the symptoms of 14 patients. The PCT expect there to be more, possibly caused by this site in Hauxton, contaminated by at least 90 chemicals, where deodoriser is sprayed into the air to overpower odours.
Now, the chemicals here, they're in the soil, they're in the water and they're in the air, called organic volatile compounds. Now, potentially they're the ones who could escape from here, but the PCT say they've got monitoring devices testing the air around here and there's nothing to worry about.
Look East has already interviewed Hauxton villagers like Jackie Garfitt, who say the site is damaging their health. But campaigners say the chemicals are affecting at least 9 other surrounding villages. Today, we spoke to people living in 4 of them.
We're concerned. My next door neighbour's not eating the eggs from his chickens. Should I eat my tomatoes in my greenhouse? Should anybody be eating any of the food on the allotments? Don't know really, we just don't know.
So I want to go out walking the dog and, you know, one day I was definitely feeling it in my lungs. I mean, I got slightly asthmatic myself, but not making any excuses or anything like that, but it didn't feel very comfortable.
Well, to me it smelled almost exactly the same as some of the weed killers that we were using on the farm 30, 40 years ago, which, you know, many of them would have been manufactured at the plant at Hauxton.
Well, at first we thought it was creosote or something like that, but it was definitely a very strong chemical smell. And it sets off allergies, definitely.
With you?
Yes. I mean, I've got hay fever and I notice my eyes start stinging and I tend to have a headache.
Harrow Estates, who plan to build homes here, say it's safe, as does the Health Protection Agency. Tomorrow, NHS managers will meet with village GPs to evaluate patients' symptoms. Mike Cartwright, BBC Look East, Hauxton.
And tomorrow in Look East, we'll talk to the NHS doctor monitoring symptoms of the patients in the area.
Colleagues have paid